This video is proudly sponsored by Newtype. Tools, accessories, model kits, these guys have it. Hop over to newtypehq.com and use the link below to help this channel out for future builds. Hey, what's going on my dudes and dudettes, and welcome back to another exciting build from the good folks from Bandai, Japan. So, why don't we get started with the 1/48 scale, mega size, Earth Federation Force Mobile Suit, Gundam Age 1 Normal. And without further ado, let's get to it. Yo, welcome back my dudes and dudettes, another unique build from yours truly, Otakubuilder, and if this is your very first time onto this YouTube channel, welcome! So it has been quite some time since I built another mega-sized Gundam. We had the RX-78-2, followed by the Unicorn Gundam, but I've always wanted to tackle the Gundam Age series, and thus my dudes and dudettes, we are revealing the mega-sized Gundam Age Normal. Now, at first glance, I get it, this mobile suit doesn't look anything special at all, but at the same time, they were drastically trying something different and exciting for this unique design, and I like it. Now, on the first side of the box art, we get a wonderful introduction of an LED light unit, which is absolutely wonderful for these mega-sized kits, followed by a brief tutorial how to put the runners together, which once again, does not require any glue. I love that. You get the instruction manual and a pamphlet if you want to do some custom painting, followed by a unique tool to take out the runners, which doesn't require you to use snippers, but it's always helpful to have a handful lying around, followed by a complete guide on how to take the runners out, and then last and finally in the very lower hand corner, you get some water slide decals, which is absolutely wonderful. As for the other side, you get two different references if you want to do some custom painting, more classic, one more stealth, followed by a references of the 1/44 scale Age model kit that came out many years ago, and then your references of putting this guy in dynamic poses, which is extremely limited from what I've experienced working with mega-sized model kits, but that's okay, it's still a fun kit to build. Other than that, let's take a look what's inside the box. As always, you are happily greeted with the instruction manual, with not just one, but two unique manuals. One's for the expert and one's for the casual builders. Now, let's talk about the first one right at the bat. Once again, nice, clean, simple design with the very bottom of the page give you a complete diagram on how to apply the water slide decals, followed by behind the instruction manual is a complete chart of all the runners that comes packed with this beast of a model. As for the first page, gives you a nice, clean representation of how to construct the head when you get the light piping system fully installed, followed by the next page gives you a nice rundown on how to construct the mobile suit when it's fully assembled, and then at the very last page gets you a nice shot at how to construct the weapon accessories. Now let's talk about the Hobby Japan manual. Now this is absolutely wonderful. If you want to get to do some light weathering, know how to cut the nubs out, what are the right kind of snippers, what kind of scissors, tweezers, this manual is the best for someone who wants to take their next building step to the next level. And this instruction manual gives you a nice representation of how to do it. Now it is in Japanese, which isn't a bad thing, but the pictures that are actually done in this manual are very easy to follow. Once again, get a nice shot of the LED unit that goes in back of the head that illuminates the chest and the head, which is absolutely phenomenal. And that's pretty much it. In back of the backpack unit, there's actually a knob that actually turns the LED on and off, so that way you have to deconstruct it. Now for the stealth variant, this is absolutely wonderful. This is actually taken to the next level if you want to do some custom painting, and the actual instruction manual does a really good job of showing what you need to do. But if that's not your thing, and you just want to do a straight up clean build with some light weathering, this manual gives you a nice way on how to do it, which particular paints to work with, whether they're acrylic or lacquer based paint. Either way, you can still get a lot of things done on how to do it correctly. Teaches you step by step how to use top coats, how to do some weathering effect with the Gundam silver marker, and on top of that, how to do some nice panel lighting and custom painting effects with simple Gundam markers, pins, etc. You name it. This is absolutely wonderful. Now, let's talk about the runners. As for the first runners, you can get a handful of white runners with the first back runner looking very awkward. I might have to do some modifications with that, but as for the blue runners, this is where things get kind of cool. The blue surfaces look great, tons of surface detail, and you get this wonderful, unique spoiler in back of the actual mobile suit, which is drastically different from any mobile suit that I've ever seen. And to top it all off, you get more of these cool looking vents that go like around the forearm, the mid thigh, the legs, and then that pretty much wraps it up. As for the shield itself, it's very simplistic, very straightforward with a little simple blue area. Now the clear pieces on this mobile suit are absolutely great. The piping on here is probably the best I've seen in a mega grade model kit in a long time. Now the way how the light piping works here, I'll explain it later on in the video, but this is what I like. Followed by a massive amount of red runners where it's gonna be for the big feet. You get some nice sculpting underneath the underneath garment of the feet, but a lot of people aren't going to be worried about painting that, but it's a nice little detail to touch on if you want to do the extra work. Followed by the classic red and yellow runners with more turquoise blue pieces for the chest, main part of the forehead of the camera, as well as parts around the eyes. Now the sticker part goes on top of that clear area, but you can flip it the other way, you can still get the same kind of effect. As for the gray runners, you're going to get tons of them for the whole mobile suit, followed by 3 unique size beam sabers for this mobile suit, followed by more unique runners for the actual shield. Then you get the water slide decals, which is absolutely a plus in my book, followed by a unique tool that you can use to take out the runners for this particular mobile suit. Now it's always helpful to have a really good pair of like good quality snippers. Just get yourself a good pair of these. This one, not so good. It'll give you issues down the road. So that pretty much wraps it up, dude. I have put this kit off long enough. It's time to jump into the world of Gundam Age. So as always, before I get started building this model kit, I want to take a step back and evaluate which area I want to tackle first. So since the chest has caught my attention the most, I want to do something drastic with this particular design. So I'll probably put some kind of light piping around the vent areas that can illuminate them to look really cool. But the main area I want to put a lot of attention on is going to be the backpack unit. So in the past, I pretty much would use a Pico LED to illuminate them, but since I've gotten really comfortable using fiber optic cabling, I think this is actually going to illuminate the way how it's supposed to look on camera and off. Now for the main skirt area in the back of the area, I want to do something drastically different. What I'm basically just trying to do is to prevent this from being very static. Now you don't have to go with this method, but for me personally, I'm going to be cutting these areas out so that way it can move up and down. It's not going to give it a lot of tons of great motion, but it just adding a little extra flare detail makes it look really cool. As for the back of the camera, I'm going to be completely masking that area out with some Tamiya masking tape, and at the same time inside that tight cavity area, I'm going to be masking it out both front and back, and then once that's done, I'm going to be hitting that area with some nice Mr. Hobby flat black primer. Now for the main part of the front part of the head, I'm going to do the exact same thing, but around the side of the cheeks is where I'm going to be installing some fiber optic lighting around the side of the part of the head. It's not really necessary, but I want to try something drastically different from this unique build. As for the main area of the torso, this is where things get really cool. Now when you use a traditional Gundam LED light, it just puts the light through it and it illuminates the way how it's supposed to. It's very wonderful engineering on their part, or trying something drastically different for this particular mega size, but the light pipe on here is absolutely great. So one little tiny little LED light here will get the job done. And that pretty much summarizes what I'm about to do. Now if you excuse me, I need to get started work on this back skirt by using my all-time favorite tool, the Dremel cutting disc.
Champagne
Alright, now that the head is finally done, it's now time to do some more modifications on the chest area. Now when you do this area, what you want to do is actually put a chip LED light pointing downward onto the chest. I would really recommend you use a Dremel disc to actually cut out the same kind of dimensions as the chip LED light is designed, but you can actually use a good pair of snippers to cut out the way you want it. Once again, you got the dimensions just right, use a Dremel to cut right in through, and then you connect it on top so that way you can do a nice clean installation. Alright, now that that's done, it's now time to tackle the main event of this model kit, and that is the Gundam Age core unit. Now the way I want to do it is going to be in a two-stage system. So my original attempt was going to put a breathing LED light in there, and I thought that looked cool at first, but then I had the brighter idea of trying something really different. So what I'm going to end up doing is going to be using a mega green LED light around the mid-back portion of the chamber, and then to add a little bit more flair to it, I'm going to be using Evans Design's Knight Rider LED light systems. What I basically want to try to emulate is like a sense of like all the atoms and the protons are like interacting with one another, just creating like this really cool fusion of energy and dynamic lighting. So it's definitely something different I've never done before, but I want to try something drastically cool that makes this guy look really unique from any other Gundam Age model kit that's been built. Alright, now we reach the next part of this model kit. Now it's time to put some LED lights inside the main rifle. Now what I basically want to do is want to put a chip LED light inside the main camera module, and then funnel that electrical wire into the main palm of the mobile suit, and then extend it outward to the wrist section. It sounds really complicated. If you just do a straight up build with the wire attached to it, you should be fine, but I want to try to make sure that's like modular. As for the shield itself, I'm going to be just drastically trying something different by putting like a nice metallic texture behind it, and that way I can work something different. Now when it comes to the legs, I'm basically going to be doing the two different tone systems of whites and grays, and then I'm going to be putting an LED light inside this main little cavity area. It's a small little detail that is not really necessary, but since there's a great deal of cavity space, I want to utilize it as much as possible. dudes and dudettes, as this video is wrapping up, I want to share with you guys my thoughts and impressions about this model kit. So first, let me get this out of the way. Was not a big fan of the design, okay? Who puts a spoiler back of a mobile suit, okay? Who does that? But 2 weeks went by and it grew on me, and I absolutely love the Gundam Age design. And the reason why I say that is because I put myself in a mindset, because, you know, one day I want to have kids, and I think to myself, like, what if my son and daughter wants to buy themselves like their very first perfect grade, but they can't afford it because of their allowance, but they want something that has the same kind of quality and flexibility like you would get from my high grade and the great surface detail of a master grade. And this kit kind of falls in between that sweet spot, and I love it, man. And the design direction that they went with this mobile suit is great. You know, not one blocky area is over contrasting with another. Everything's nice and seamline with one another. Even though it's blocky, it still looks wonderful. And then the added bonus of that beautiful triangular core, or I guess a hexagon shaped core in the front, is the nice little extra bonus detail that I love. And on boosted on top of that, the L.E.D Light system is the best I have seen for any mega size kit on the market. They got the light piping done just right. It only requires one little LED light to illuminate the chest and the head. Beautiful job, Bandai. You guys nailed it. Now, there are some areas that are very questionable when it comes to such as articulation, and I think that's where this kit takes a hard fall on that, because I did have some areas where the hip joint did get loose. I had some areas where the ball joint just wasn't nice and snug around the wrist, but the articulation around the shoulder blade and around the arm going up and down side to side, and the added bonus of adding a little twisting gimmick around the wrist section kind of makes up for it, and I'm okay with that. And I love that little attention detail. It takes another hit too when it comes around to the legs, because the articulation isn't that great, and it's very stiff around, giving a nice bend around the knee area, so it's very limited there. On top of that, another area that's very concerning about this model kit is going to be coming to the seam lines. Now, seam lines is very notoriously well known when it comes to the mega size RX-70-2 and even the Unicorn Gundam, and this one, it kind of tones it down a little bit. It's not as much as a distraction around the arms, but it's definitely noticing around the back cab area around the legs. So that's the only part that hurts it. But one thing I love Bandai, I give them a lot of credit to, is including this model kit with an LED light unit. It's very welcoming to get just one single LED light unit, because we all know we try to buy one, we're stuck with 5. And that's annoying, okay? But it's nice that they include with this model kit. Now, the big burning question is this mobile suit worth the purchase? And I have to say no when it comes to the mega size, because when I bought this kit in March, it was $200. Nowadays, it's up to $400 to $500. So, an excellent alternative. Please buy the high grade, please buy the master grade. Why? Because they are affordable and you get way more range of articulation to put this guy in many dynamic poses. But if you want to build something that's simple and you got the lettuce to spin and you want to get something nice for yourself or something for your kids to look at a Gundam Age model kit, go right ahead, check it out. But you have been warned. And with that being said, thank you dudes and dudettes for watching this video. Do appreciate the likes, comments, and subscribes. Do me a favor, give this video a thumbs up, helps the channel out tremendously. And as always, I will see you dudes and dudettes on the next build.